Hi Keeper, or hi gang. This week we are making some winter treats. We're going to do something in the oven which will just fill up those cold autumnal evenings. But also I've made a little discovery.
Bok, I'm Mandy O. This is Grow, Make, Cook, and welcome to my garden. I grew up in Australia in a permaculture family, but after we got married, Mr. O and I moved here to his home country of Croatia. I am a passionate and hands-on homemaker and gardener, and I love life's simple pleasures. So join me on my journey, and together we can learn to grow, make, and cook. This is the third week in November, or Studeni.
My discovery is that actually this orange with the perches on it has been much more successful. The little birdies have somewhere to land where they can get in and get at the feed. Whereas the other orange, which didn't have the perches, not so popular. They kind of perch on the edge, the whole thing rocks and they can't get at the food. So I'm gonna go and do an upgrade. Now, for this upgrade, I want to also secure this. This has not been anywhere near as secure as I thought it was. So, I'm going to poke my little kebab stick through the knot so that it pokes through through the string, right through the middle of it, to hold it steady. Poke that through the other side. Yeah, I think the little birdies will have a much harder time tipping that over and making a mess now. And then we'll pop the other one in this other direction. Right through there, through the string. And we'll just pop him out the other side. And that, hoping we'll do a much better job. But I have learnt something. You really need somewhere for the little birds to perch if you're going to make a good bird feeder. It's given me ideas for the next one, I think. If you, like me, grew a whole lot of winter squash, now feels like the right sort of time to be eating them. They've been kept and stored and kept in a, frost-free place, so ours are in the spare bedroom. But what's the point of growing all this lovely food if you don't eat it? The skins of spaghetti squash particularly are really tough, much like pumpkin. Oh. And you could use, you can't get spaghetti squash here. I have to grow them. I could just buy them at the farmer's market in Australia, but here, have to grow them if you want them. You could substitute is butternuts or a pumpkin or anything like that, really. Oh, that's all come out. So, what I was going to show you, but the seeds have all come out now, is that you scrape this away and you can take the seeds out, but these have just fallen out of this piece. And so then you get all this goop with the seeds in it, and I'm separating them out. Now, I'm just popping them onto a bit of paper towel, spread out nice and thin, and this is so I can save the seed to grow again next spring. It's a bit tricky when you've got things like this that you really adore, and it kind of reminds me of home, but that you can't find easily here. So, spaghetti squashes, I save the seeds myself, and it's really simple. And most of these seeds are pretty good. This one's obviously a bit squishy and a bit soft, but most of them are firm and good. And I would expect I don't know, maybe half of those firm seeds will germinate when I plant them. So if you look at the ones that I've just gotten from this one squash, that's plenty for one person's worth of gardening. I don't know that I could even keep up with that many plants. So I'll dry these, save them, and then we'll see how many I actually want to grow next year. But for this recipe, I'm just starting by chopping it up into small pieces. Now, if you have got spaghetti squash, you'll notice that the strings or the spaghetti or the texture of the flesh goes round and round this way. So I'm trying to keep them reasonably long that direction. So I'm only cutting them, that's half, and then in half again. So into quarters, and then into strips, about a centimetre and a half wide. The first thing for my bake is about a tablespoon of any cooking oil. I'm using sunflower, but vegetable oil will do. And then I'm going to chuck all of my squash just in the bottom and kind of toss it in so it gets coated in the oil. The next thing I'm going to throw in is a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. It's sweetish, so it will add a little bit of a hint of sweetness to this bake. And that's all I'm putting in to start. So this will go into about 180 degrees C oven for about 20 minutes or half an hour until it starts to become a little bit tender. Let's get that in. After taking the lid off, I'm now adding about a cup of tomato passata. Now, you can find that in like Italian delis in Australia or at any supermarket here in Croatia. It's kind of like thin tomato paste and it goes over things really nicely. It's a thing I really like. If you can't find it in Australia, you could probably use something like a mild tomato sauce. Then I'm adding a good sprinkle of just dried parsley. And we'll pop the lid back on. Still very hot, so lid back on. And then back in the oven for about another 20 minutes. Alright, now after that one, I'm just going to give this a quick stir together just to make sure all of it is covered in our lovely tomatoey herby mixture. And then I'm going to sprinkle a good handful of cheese over everything really. And then it's going to go back in the oven, but without the lid this time, for maybe another 20 minutes. Now, pop it with your favourite sides. It'll go with almost anything. I've had this with roast chicken or sausages or just a fried egg or almost anything really. Once it was just this and a big pile of Brussels and it was beautiful. But this is what it's all about. Cheesy. Goodness.
Giving a light trim to the edges of your garden beds now in order to keep them neat and tidy and the grass short is a really good value task to do when the weather is cold like this, because the grass will stay short and it'll stay neat for a long time. So it's a good thing to keep the garden feeling like it's got a little bit of order and structure about it. adore the way the grasses stand tall with their seed heads on at this time of year. It's got this lovely grey, but brown, but sad, but sort of preparatory for the year to come feeling about it. It gives you really mixed emotions, but I love the sweeping grasses and the goldenrod with their big plumes atop. It's delightful. It's something that I'm really enjoying, and I'm hoping that this week you can find something that brings your heart joy too. Thanks for visiting. If you like what we're doing, please like the video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you want notifications, use the bell icon below. And until next time then, do widzenia.